our main quest, okay, our big MMO piece of name. So there's one. What you can argue whether or not this is a big MMO thing, but Fallout 76 Wastelanders coming April 7th might actually make the game good. I bought it. As you can see, I have the power armor. Okay. I would like to see it good. So as I was Solomon, since you kind of remind me of this, did you have the game and are you ready for this one?
No, I didn't buy the game. I was about to, but then I saw all the flood of bad negative reviews. I'm like, maybe I should hold off a bit. Wait till the game actually gets better. And it never got better.
Yeah, that's right.
But I am excited for it. I will admit, because this update is making Fallout 76 more in line with the Fallout games that we're used to in Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 3.
Yeah.
They're adding 2 new factions. Freaking, I forgot what they call them, but one's the Raider faction, one's like a settler faction. 2 different different massive locations that you could go to trade and get quests from, and you also increase reputation with them. I'm assuming through questing and whatnot. And another really cool thing that you could do is you could actually recruit different NPCs from those hubs, and they're also romanceable as well. So they could actually follow you to your settlement, with a camp system, and romance them, and they could also guard your settlement as well, and all that different stuff too. So it's very similar to Fallout 4, more or less. And if they do it right, I will definitely pick up a copy.
I was gonna say, are you gonna buy one now? Okay.
If they do it right, I'm gonna wait until after the update is released, and if the consensus is good, then
you're gonna wait.
Yeah.
Fair enough. No, at this point, you're right. Okay. I mean, that's a cute thing, right? Is that NPCs? I mean, I know that when it game first came out, there was no NPCs. And that really didn't bother me directly. Okay, because I was like, fine, whatever. Okay, but it turned into an issue, and then the romancing part again didn't bother me, but it turned into the other issue. My main issue was the graphics sucked. But anyway, Sir Jazeel, have you got this game? And what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I own it. I think
like me,
kept at it for about 2 weeks, and then it just wasn't doing it for me, and I ultimately ended up uninstalling it. And
okay,
I don't know. What I'm reading, I like. So I'm willing to give him another chance. I've seen some games pull themselves out of the grave.
True.
Lately.
Yeah, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky is probably the best example of that, and I am pretty close to reinstalling that because it looks really good now.
It does.
Yeah, I've been watching some of our other friends streaming it and playing it, and it looks great. So I may, I'll give it another try. It sounds good. But again, as I've said before, I've heard a lot of things that sound good, and then
I know
I was sitting there a week later going, okay, now what? And
well, April 7th, it comes out before our whole New World things. Maybe if it does fine, since Jazeel and I both have it, maybe we can find a way to stream that together, and then maybe find and convince Solomon to come in either the same day or afterwards, but be one of our games to play together as we test it for. Because I mean, it's not massive. Okay, it's not an actual MMO. The actual server is like 24, I think, or 24 per people.
Something
so
like that, yeah.
But the possibilities exist of being a massively. I mean, a lot of players can be there and only any given shard, and you can argue that when WoW Classic first came out, all the different layers, you can only be on a certain layer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can group together. So it's not quite the same thing where it's like, oh yeah, 24, that's not too massive, but you couldn't do a lot more.
It's MMO light, I guess you could say.
MMO light, yeah, very good point. Games are better with less people.
I did revisit New Vegas recently, so
did you? Yeah. Okay.
So if they're bringing some of those ideas into it, I'm all there.
Okay. Next thing we have when it comes to be the big WoW Classic, which a confession, I'm not been playing recently. Wrathy Basin is coming out, which of course is Battlegrounds, and that's really cool, right? But I've been reading that WoW Classic, while still doing decently, has dropped a lot of players. A lot of people have been going to retail, but even then,
Right.
people retail have dropped because they're waiting for Shadowlands. I think that people are waiting for Blizzard to announce Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King. But anyways, I know that's who Jaziel does not play WoW, but sorry, Solomon, sorry, never mind. Oh, why I said that. Jaziel, though, have you tried Wrathy Basin in WoW Classic?
Yeah, I did.
How was it?
I love Wrathy Basin. And of course, this is not the version that's in retail because it was changed a couple of expansions ago. Actually, I can't remember which expansion it was, but I love that one. I don't know why, because it sometimes can be a huge pain in the batishki and go on forever and ever and ever, it seems like, but I love it. I had a lot of fun playing it. Is it, in and of itself enough to get me going back on a daily basis to Classic? No, not really.
Yeah.
I haven't even been playing that much retail, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. That's something we both chatted before about the fact that retail itself, even Classic in retail, is like the fact if you watch Sir Jaziel's channel, you'll see me recently. Like I asked a question one time about, but people haven't been on for a while, and he's like, "Ooh, wait." He had this. Unfortunately, I didn't mean to make his stream go negative, right? But it's like, oh wait.
I think that's actually the last day that I played. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm hearing. I have talked to a few of the guys and one of the girls that hasn't been logging on, trying to figure out what's going on there. And they're saying they signed up for beta. They're hoping to get into beta for Shadowlands.
Okay. Yeah.
If they don't really expect to see them till Shadowlands comes out.
Which is a fair statement. I get it.
Yeah, but it makes me not want to, because it is a very social thing for me to play that game, and that is a big portion of why I went back to playing World of Warcraft, was for the social interaction with everybody in our communities.
I agree. Me too.
And if that's not going to be there, then I'll just, dump my sub and go play some ESO until New World comes out, honestly.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Alan would make a comment. He said, games are better with less people, unless there's an economy. But even those games become so dominant by people who played the longest, which isn't really fun. Alan, I want to comment on that because the fact that's the reason why I did kickstart some games like Crowfall. Crowfall was based around the fact that any one set of people, guild or alliance, could become dominant, but it can't forever because they would constantly reset the game, so to speak. Not the game per se, but the different shard or a different campaign where it's a 1 day, let's say 1 day or 1 month or a 6-month campaign. It would reset because no one guild or alliance could ever become dominant. Because that's the part that makes it all not worth playing. Like, well, why bother now when someone's so good? All right, I want to move on to New World because that's the one that's coming out, and they announced some factions. And by the way, there is a place where you want to, you can go check out, see what kind of faction you are. And somehow I scored out to be a Marauder. I'm like,
oh,
what?
You took the quiz?
A Marauder. You took the quiz. I'm a Marauder, and I'm like, what the? I mean,
I can see that. I can see that.
But it's to me, in a sense, all the questions answered toward being a good, solid paladin tank. Okay.
So you want, in other words, you wanted to be a Covenant.
Well, no, it's funny because that's not what came out. I mean, it's what I answered all the questions, and it felt like I was heading toward being if I was a WoW paladin or a paladin period, okay, but Marauder. So I mean, so Solomon, did you take the quiz?
No, I
okay.
I know about it. But yeah, I don't know which. I mean, I think we're gonna go a Covenant though, right? Because I think I heard the Calvinist saying that he's gonna, or his group is going Covenant, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're going Covenant. It doesn't matter what the result is for my end.
I'm willing to go wherever the majority. But by the way, for those who don't know, there is a Discord and a guild, or what it's called in New World, being put together to if you want to hang with us. So let us know.
Really?
Let either one of us know. What?
Really? What's the address?
Well, I thought you were. I told them to invite you.
No,
You
I
didn't
didn't
invite
get
the Discord.
No, I didn't get any invite.
What? Okay, we gotta make sure that's all.
This is very disappointing.
It's literally called a Discord called New World. Okay.
Yeah, this is very disappointing. I didn't get an
Well,
invite.
let me.
You'll get one now.
This is gonna mess up my stream. Okay, because
No,
I
do it
haven't got
later.
it
Do it
set up.
later. Do
We
it
can do
later.
it
do
after.
I'm
man.
gonna see invite. Too late. I'm already doing it. Invite. Where's Solomon?
See, now I have to edit that out now.
Solomon, copy. Oh, was it?
Ah.
Was it? Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So
Okay.
ugly.
Live in stream. Actions happening. Hey, Sola Della Gloria, how's it going? You're going to follow the majority. Well, can you quote Matthew 7:30? Enter by the narrow gate. For the gate is wide and the way is. I'm following my brothers in Christ, okay? That's a good one, though. I love that, Sola. Thank you so much, okay? Welcome being here, okay? So, I know, Sarziel, you took the quest, right? The quiz.
Yes.
What'd you get?
Syndicate.
Syndicate.
And that makes complete sense. I normally, even when I used to play tabletop Dungeons and Dragons and GURPS, if anyone knows about that, I was always a magic caster type. So that makes a lot of sense that those are supposed to be the people that are really into seeking out forbidden knowledge and wisdom and magic and figuring out how things work, and they're supposed to be kind of the brains outfit, which again that goes with what type of characters I normally do play. The thing is, I was thinking I was going to end up in Covenant because when I read through the 3, that Covenant stood out far beyond those other 2 factions, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to go Covenant. And then yeah, you're right, when Calvinist and a couple of the other guys were saying that they wanted to go Covenant as well, I was like, oh, cool, all right, good, because I didn't want to have to be the one that said, well, forget you guys, I'm going to Covenant. But no, I'm the same way. If the rest of them vote to go Marauders or Syndicate, I whatever, I'll be a good sport and go with people. I mean, I will let them know I want to be Covenant, but if they don't go that way, then it's okay.
I'll say it was weird because the quiz itself, was trying to put you into a faction, and yet I felt as time the quiz was trying to put you into a character or a class, and so it was weird because I was trying to answer it the way I thought best to what the kind of class of a character I wanted to play, but in the end, it was trying to put you into a faction. So that's why I'm not going to buy into it directly. I think if you all want to go Covenant, I will create a character that I still, more or less, will probably be tank, because I tend to be more of a tank person. But I like the idea of the fact that the factions have these different types of idiosyncrasies and coolness about them. They all have decent pluses, you might say. They're not evil, or like Horde versus Alliance. Sorry.
Yeah.
All you Horde out there, don't get me wrong. Okay, I know Horde isn't evil. Okay, but
yeah, they all definitely, as far as the description goes of the factions, they all have one or two things that you look at and go, okay, those are good qualities to have, and then they also have something thrown in that you're like, oh, but I don't know if I like that. So it looks pretty balanced.
I got Covenant.
Oh, just now?
Yeah, I just took the quiz.
Covenant, Marauder. Okay, I don't know what to say. Okay.
Wow,
so-
we got 3 different answers.
All right, I'm gonna kick you guys from this show because you clearly don't fit my faction. So
I wanted
hilarious.
Covenant, and I really thought I was
Oh, that's right.
answering going
Yeah.
towards Covenant, but yeah.
wait,
So-
we said
so
you quizzed out to what now?
Wait, what?
Me,
Jazeel?
Syndicate.
Oh wait. So wait. So it says I'm Marauder, you Syndicate, and Solomon's Covenant. We literally had
Yes.
3 different.
Yes.
Okay. I was picturing the fact that we were all okay. Interesting.
That's hilarious.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
The
how to
battle
explain
lines have been drawn. It is over. The
Uh-oh.
friendship that we thought the fellowship existed is no longer here. Okay, I cannot trust their axe or their sword or their bow.
We can work
Just
together
kidding.
somehow.
So if we choose the Covenant as a faction, does that make me an automatic officer?
Probably.
I don't know. Any of you all who are watching the show have seen the quiz. Okay, if you have taken the quiz, let us know what you guys were tested out as: Covenant,
Man.
Syndicate, or Marauder. Okay, kind of curious to what you all did. So you clearly see us 3 are different.
So, sorry, Sir Jazeel. I cut you off with my excitement.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, but
That
we
was
really, what we are waiting for now is to see if there's like any kind of bonuses for each of them that you get as far as PvE, PvP goes. And, if any have, I imagine that like Syndicate will have a bonus to learning skills, and Marauders will have some kind of something. I don't know. Cute glowy red eyes. I don't know.
Wait, cute glowy red eyes.
I don't know. That's what they seem to have right now. That's why everyone wants to be them, because they have the cool armor, I guess. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what kind of perks that you get with each of them, if you even do. I imagine that there will be something, and then we'll go from there. But I do know that pretty much everybody in that Discord group has said Covenant. There was maybe 1 or 2 that have said that they might, want to go Marauder because the armor looked better, is I think what the one guy said.
So, so Sole de la Gloria has said the bonus is right here. Exodus 19:5.
Uh-oh.
Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasure possession among all peoples, for all earth is mine. Oh yeah, covenant is the answer. Okay, it's biblical. Okay, there we go. I love that.
I really am hoping for Covenant.
I just hope that the Covenant doesn't attract the weird people and we just get absolutely stomped on in world PvP.
Okay, well, we'll find out, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah. So anyway, if any one of you guys want to join us for this, let us know. Okay, we'll send you a invite to the Discord for New World. It's coming out May 26th. We haven't heard any delays. There's been talk about whether or not they can make it on time, but we still want to do this, guys. So it looks fun, exciting. A lot of great people are looking into this. I mean, obviously, Jono streams and the Calvinist and other names that I don't have off the top of my head. Okay, but anyways, do that. Let's do that. Okay. Let's move on to a bit of Class Quest. This is the small MMORPG news. Now, I don't know if ARPGs would be considered this, right? But there's a thing called Wolfson, Lords of Mayhem. Never heard of it. Didn't care about it. But I had dinner with my family this past Tuesday, and I said, God bless me with 4 wonderful, amazing kids, and 2 son-in-laws, and 1 my oldest daughter's boyfriend, who are all gamers. And so one of the things that popped up, I heard about this game called Wolfson, Lords of Mayhem, came out of early access in mid-February. People are liking it. There's just some bugs in it, okay, but it's an ARPG. I don't know if you've all seen it or not. And I asked because I'm not sure if if an ARPG, because 4-player, I think it is maximum, we'll talk about later on, but that overall. But I'm just curious if that is something you guys have heard about or know about, or I don't know, whatever.
Wait, so are you asking if it's an MMO? If it's a
well, that's a different question, okay? But I know it's not because it's 4-player, but I'm just mentioning it as a. Yeah, good point. Why'd I add this if it's only 4 players?
Right. I mean, at best, it'd be considered an online RPG, but I definitely wouldn't consider it an MMO, not like Ultima Online or Lost Ark, or which I would definitely categorize as MMOs because you got the massively part in there.
Yep. All right. So Kenneth and screw up the notes today. Okay. So we're going to jump right to, because apparently that's not a good MMO. We'll jump to Solomon notes. Okay. Let's move there because we have some questions about ARPGs in it coming up. Okay. But anyways, so Solomon, you have any notes, anything you want to add that we missed along the way for these smaller MMOs that you know about that I don't know about?
Well, let's see. Well, I know we talked a lot about Blue Protocol, especially last week. That was like the big news. Again, for the sake of me and the less effort that I have to make there, because of a certain virus that will not be mentioned because of YouTube algorithms, has caused the beta to be delayed.
That's one of those. Okay. That's a good point. That's one of the ones that I had. That's right. I remember seeing that. Right.
Yep.
But when I said that there are going to be delays because not just Comic Cons, right, but actual games.
Yep.
This one's been delayed, right? I mean, it's flat out official now, right?
Oh yeah, it's yeah. The beta was supposed to be or taking place at the end of March-ish, but Bandai Namco straight up said we're postponing this indefinitely until further notice, and they haven't.
Why though? I mean, what is? I mean, because they couldn't finish in time because the people were missing because they were out sick, or because they couldn't show up. Because I mean, that to me this is all virtual type thing where it wouldn't affect it. The virtual virus, so to speak, wouldn't cause any issue, right?
Well, I think maybe they have to have people running around in the real world doing something. I don't know. Well, yeah, like they did give an explanation in their official Twitter. It was written in Japanese, but somebody translated it. But yeah, I can't really remember what the exact reasoning behind it.
You remind me of the fact that Bungie made a comment because Bungie is located in Seattle area, Bellevue, and they closed some of their current Bellevue stuff, right? But they also been talking about closing the rest of their facilities too. Now, mind you, they do Destiny and Destiny 2, so that makes sense, Solomon. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, I didn't. You don't have to thank me. I'm just blabbing. But so that was probably one of the more disappointing news, but understandably disappointing news. And let's see. Genshin Impact is still getting developed. They're constantly releasing new updates for that. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's an RPG. I'm sorry. Forget what I said about that. Let's see. EVE Online. I know there's a lot of people who play that. Is getting this crazy event called the Skilling and Chilling event. And apparently you could really boost your skill points and put that into your desired whatever skill tree that you want to put in, but simply by killing other players in the game. And the reason why I'm only mentioning this is because EVE Online by far is probably the most grindiest MMORPG in history.
It is. I tried and I'm just not.
Right. And they have an event to help kind of alleviate that, which is to everybody's benefit. And honestly, yeah, I mean, you have a little small updates here and there for like Star Trek Online, the game that you mentioned earlier, Atlantica Online's coming to Steam, but I mean, whoop-de-doo. The last thing, yeah, it's the game's like 11, I think, even 12 years old.
But I didn't realize that. I mean, it got me was tactical MMO. I'm like, that's what that game that Trion Worlds was trying to be more tactical MMO where. So I thought it was interesting. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, which I would agree with you initially, but the problem is it's originally so when you think of a mobile title and they slap on the term MMORPG, they're BSing you. So that's why I'm like, yeah, whatever. But the last one that I really want to touch upon that I think is like super interesting is another MMO being developed by a studio of 3 people. And it's called Zenith, and this is supposed to be an MMORPG for VR. Zenith, Zenith.
Okay.
And it was in the news about a month ago, sort of big headlines because they were initially asking for $25,000 in its Kickstarter, but they ended up raising $250,000 instead.
Wow. Okay.
And the reason why they're up on the news again is because they announced their pre-alpha that is going to launch sometime in mid-March. I want to say, but yeah, this is really interesting because not only is it an MMORPG, but it's also VR. But I think because of the extra funding that they got, they're making it a cross-platform thing where if you have VR, you could play it, but you could also play it on the PC. So, which excites me because I don't have VR. I can't. VR is kind of expensive, but to be able to actually engage and interact with the people who are playing in VR and may want to someday play it in VR, I think is super awesome. But again, I think the most interesting thing is the fact that this is a 3-person studio. I think they're called like Ramen Studio or something like that because the lead person. Impressive. I think he's Asian, and I think and 2 other people. But anyways, that's beside the point. So yeah, you just gotta
sound racist, you know.
Well, you know, Asian guy here, so APAS, right? No, but
they're based in San Francisco. Wow. Okay.
Oh, are they really? Yeah, I didn't even know that. Yeah, so that to me, besides the whole Blue Protocol being delayed, I think that's probably the most interesting news so far this week out of all the MMORPG news that we have so far.
No, it's fully funded in 4 hours. That is impressive.
Yeah, people really want an MMORPG in VR.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the biggest thing I have, well, actually one that not one works, right? But the one that actually I think would test the ability. That's not just taking like say Fallout 4 or Skyrim and VRing it. It's actually literally creating a VR game because you know it is VR.
That's true too. That's true too. And plus I think also the genre is also something that probably people really look forward to as well. It's supposed to be sort of a cyberpunk genre as well. Kind of that anime JRPG feel, but also, you know, I mean, cyberpunk, the genre of cyberpunk also borrows a lot from Japanese culture too as well. So there's similarities there, but you know, there are kind of twists to it as well. But just remember, this is not even alpha. This is pre-alpha, so take everything you see with a grain of salt as well.
Yeah, I can see it talking about being August 2020. Start your life as a legendary hero in a dynamic, player-driven MMO inspired by your favorite JRPGs and anime for VR and PC.
Is that what they said on the thing? Are you reading it from them?
Oh, I'm reading from the Kickstarter. Yeah.
Really? Dang it! See, when you said that, now it's just going to be filled with lollies. Let's be honest. Right when you said that, it's like, oh, it's just going to be crawling with lollies and little.
Well, I mean, there's a video here, but the graphics look a lot less like an anime, right? But it's still, yeah. I mean, that's cool. Okay, but yeah, thank you. That's a good idea. I mean, that's where, for me, I don't hear these things, and Solomon does. If you're not watching his YouTube channel, Whiskeys and RPGs, you're missing this stuff, okay? If you want to get the content you need about MMOs, whether it's the mainline or the secondary stuff, go to him. Yes, I know he pulls stuff from some really good websites like MMORPG.com or Massive EOP, but he puts it together in a way you can understand and show you stuff that lets you know this is the game to play.
Thanks, Dad. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Even though it sounds like I'm being, you keep saying I'm your dad. It's like there's a reason why I'm making this. Like, yeah, of course he's saying that because he's his father. He's going to say that. Anyways, let's go to ARPGs. I thought it'd be a good question to ask. The question is whether ARPGs are MMOs. Now, I mean, we talk about the fact that MMOs themselves have a certain number of people concurrently playing and whatnot, the whole massively multi-online role-playing game. And ARPGs are like Diablo-esque, you know, they're games that top down, which I don't normally play. And a lot of the actual MMORPGs are not top down. Okay, so my question is, Jaziel, You're more of an expert than I am. Okay, so are ARPGs MMOs? Can they be? Are they? Are there?
I will answer that, but before we get to that, as soon as I heard that name Zenith, my very first television was a Zenith.
Was a Zenith? Yeah, I know.
That brand. Yeah.
I was thinking Xanadu, but that's a movie with Living Newton John. But
oh my goodness,
Zenith.
I probably watched Xanadu on that television, and Barbarella. And I won't keep going with those B movies.
Oh, Barbarella.
Oh, that doll scene.
Back in a younger Jane Fonda. Okay,
yeah.
Oh, but if she just shuts her mouth, that she would be that much more attractive. I will say.
I agree with you. But anyway, and it was a console television, by the way. It had the drawer and the speakers, and anyway. So ARPGs to me. As far as are they MMO? No, they're not. They are, most of them are primarily single player, but they do have, some of them have couch co-op, some of them have the ability to play with your friends online, but usually it's in a limited form, like 4 players, 5 players. Normally no more than that, although I have seen some games like Diablo 3 where there's an area in the game you can go to PvP and you can have a few more people kind of grouped up in there, beating the crumb out of each other. But as far as can it be turned into an MMO, absolutely could be. And there are some games being worked on right now, not terribly many that I know of, that are from the isometric kind of viewpoint, and I'm trying to remember the name. I just watched a video yesterday that was a collection of games that are being developed, and one of them was an MMO that looked almost exactly like Diablo 3 to me, and Wolfson. Which is a great game from what I'm hearing. If I had the money, I'd probably try that one out. But as far as like would I like to see many games like that? Nah, probably just 1 or 2 done right, but
yeah,
I know that like Pillars of Eternity, or no, Path of Exile.
Divinity Original Sin. Original Sin.
Yeah, Original Sin was another game. But again, it was ARPG. But Titan's as far Quest. As like bordering on MMO, Path of Exile does allow more than just your own little group of people that you invite or that you group up with. You do see other players in there on the same maps as you. I don't know. I'm assuming there's limitations on how many people can be on the same map at the same time.
It's true.
And that it's probably sharded in such a way that it's, you only allowed so many and then it throws you onto another layer. I'm not sure, so don't count that as gospel. But I'm assuming, because I've never seen more than maybe like 24 people, maybe not even that, but I'm just taking a wild stab in the dark here at that number. I definitely haven't seen terribly many other people when I play Path of Exile, but I would almost, I think, be able to call it an MMO/ARPG.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like top-down games because I played them. Don't get me wrong, okay, but I like being in the action. And when you're looking down on it, like they look cool and all, but you don't feel like you're so far out of the game, right? And that's why I was curious, like with Wolfson, I was like, okay, that's interesting because my kids are playing it. They love the game. It's brand new.
Looks real
ARPG. Wondering if whether or not there are actually other MMOs out there, or it can be. I'm sure there are MMOs out there that are ARPGs. Playing was it the Marvel Heroes? I think it was ARPG.
Yes. Yeah. And there was a DC Universe Online or
right.
something like that,
Okay,
right?
so DCO,
Oh,
I played
right.
DCO, right? Like
Yeah.
ARPG,
I'm not sure if that's still around, but I'm sure
It
there's
is.
private servers. But
Marvel's is gone, but DCUO is still there. Yes.
oh, okay. And then there was, oh gosh, there was another one that was pretty popular for a little while, but on Steam. Remember, it had a guy in a trench coat on the front.
That was an ARPG?
Yes.
So Alan asked a question for me, I guess, the fact that what's the difference between third person and top down? Because WoW is third person. So I like being in, for me personally, Alan, is being in the action. When you're actually doing third person or the WoW version or any MMO, you're actually there. You're there. And yet you can be a little bit out and see your character or even into the character's face, right? But with top down, you're just looking down. And I feel like it more like God mode where I just don't like not being there. I'm like, I'm watching it, it's great, but I'm not there.
Like an RTS.
Me, okay? Yeah, kind of RTS, right? Very good point. For me, I don't know about you guys, okay? Maybe you guys are different than me, then you enjoy those kind of things, but for me, it's not the same thing.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the game. I mean, I think I could personally myself enjoy something like that, but it would have to be like very peculiar. Like I can't really put into words what that would have to entail, but a lot of games that I grew up with were top down, RTS style, ARPG style games like Link, for example, Zelda, the old NES, Zelda games were like that. So for me, it probably would have to be a very reminiscent of that kind of game in order for me to enjoy it. But the only game that I could really think of that's modern, that's ARPG style, is probably Lost Ark, and maybe a few more that I can't really think of off the top of my head. Certainly Path of Exile, which I yet to have tried. I've been wanting to play that, but yeah, other than that, I agree with you, Ken. It's something that there's a certain disconnect as well that goes on with me. So I prefer third person in my MMOs. But can ARPGs be an MMO? Absolutely.
Well, I mean, he said Path of Exile. That's a good point. I mean, I hadn't thought about that one, okay? But I just generally don't like the idea of a ARPG looking top down. I don't mind the first person, third person, because you can go back and forth. Okay, ARPGs, you're stuck. You're looking down. You're literally looking down. You're like watching them, which is fun. I mean, again, those games are fun, and they have some story elements, right? But I like being immersive in there. And I know, Alan, you've heard me so many times talk about the fact that I hate 8-bits. Okay, ARPG reminds me of the old school games,
right? Exactly.
Of top down looking, was a side scroller or whatnot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be part of the action. I mean, I'm not VR not to the point where it's so VR centric where I gotta be there, but I want to be part of it. Okay.
I think it has a lot to do with the atmosphere and the action, and possibly even the story. Because if you're not going to, I understand the disconnect there, and I can relate to that because I have played ARPGs that I felt like I was away from the combat. I felt like I was just kind of in a way, like you said, like I was in God mode or I was God or whatever, just looking down at people doing stuff. And I didn't really feel connected to the game I was playing because it was lacking story, it was lacking a good atmosphere, good music, good and action. I felt like I was just kind of roaming around, and it did kind of have that old school. I don't know if I'd go back to Atari, but definitely like PlayStation 1. There were some games that were like that and whatnot that just it felt too slow and just didn't have those other elements that make a great game. Path of Exile and Original Sin 2 was I never played the original, but the second one was fantastic.
I've
But
heard
again,
it's good. Yeah,
both of those games, and I would put Diablo 2, Diablo 3. I was a little bit disappointed in, but they had great atmosphere, great music. The voice acting on most of them were pretty awesome, and I felt engaged and I wanted to complete the story and see it through to the end. And I think those things drew me in. Whereas, like I said, a game that didn't have those elements definitely wouldn't do it for you. I have searches. Oh yeah, everybody went over to Kennethon's, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, I was thinking Alan was talking about the fact that I only play second-person games. Second-person games are the only way to play. Solomon's like, your mom's a second-player game.
I can't believe you actually read that out loud.
And even with MMOs,
you scrubs get on my level.
Even with MMOs, there's certain MMOs that I will not play over the shoulder. And there's other games that I prefer like World of Warcraft. I prefer being outside of my character. You do have the ability to go first person.
Yeah.
But I hate it. It just looks and plays horribly. But Elder Scrolls Online, it's great either way, but I prefer to play it first person. And I think it's
choice is
fantastic. Good. Yeah, choice is great, but there are games that seem to lend themselves better to one perspective or another. And I'm glad that I don't have to, because I've watched some other streamers and I've got friends that will scroll all the way out of their character and be looking down from the clouds while they're raiding and
really?
stuff.
That high?
And I've got my friend CEO, he does that. And he hates watching my streams because he says I'm too close to the character with the camera, and I'm like, dude.
So that's the part that I like about it. I mean, because let's clarify something. So Alan was talking about second person would be looking at your character while they were talking to you or attacking you. Second person games don't exist. That was a joke. I misunderstood Alan. Okay, so
it was third person would be what we're thinking.
Yeah, because I like the idea of being able to be in first person where I'm literally in the character. There it is, right? Or I can pull back a little bit where I can see third person where I can see their back. Absolutely. What I don't like is the ARPG where you're on top of them looking down as if, that's it, you're totally out of the game. Well, I mean, you're not out of the game, but it feels like it. I like being third person over the shoulder. I mean, you mentioned it. I like that. And I can be in first person if I need to be, but I don't like that because it reminds me of too much of Skyrim where, like, you see the hands, you're like, whatever, okay, but,
Well, that's how a lot of the VR games are.
It's right turning to be, I know.
You just see these two hands floating out. And see, to me, I don't have a VR set. I'm too po. But that's what I get for living in California when our tax is taxed. I need to move up there with Ken. But that disconnects me more than the perspective of the camera is I played the VR version of Skyrim at my friend's house because he actually has money and has a Tesla in his garage. I'm totally jealous.
Tesla. Yeah. My brother has one of those.
That thing's beautiful. That is a work of art. It needs to be just leave it there. Yeah. Don't drive it. It's too pretty. Anyway, when I was playing it, it's just like your hands are just like floating out in front of you. You can't see any arms or anything. And the weapons move awkwardly. And I just don't think they've got a lot of work to do on that. And, I've heard some people say, man, it'd be really neat to have World of Warcraft be, VR. And no, I don't. Let's wait a couple of years. I don't think they have that down yet.
Yeah.
Sounds like exhausting.
Cool. Yeah, no thanks.
So my basic question back in was about that ARPGs can be MMOs, but there are not many of them, right? But that's only because by definition the developers didn't make it that way. Path of Exile is an example of a ARPG MMO because they made it that way, but most ARPGs are not. That obviously good big example, the big one, Diablo 4 coming out, Diablo 3 still being played, is an ARPG, but it's not. It's multiplayer, but it's not MMO.
Right.
Right? Okay.
Right.
Before we get we should have some more time. Don't forget, May 26th is New World.
Hopefully.
It's being released accordingly. I know.
Fingers crossed, guys.
Hopefully nothing goes wrong. It is coming out. We are going to have once we know more about the details. There is a pre-party. There's a launch party. We will be there streaming it, and there are a lot of folks who are interested in playing this. If you want to join us, please join us. If you want to know more, there is a Discord. Just add us, and we'll tell you more about it. Right. So, and when it comes the actual times for the pre-launch party, we'll let you know, because it'll be exciting. It'll be fun. And it's all of us, right? Hanging together. So why not, right? So yeah, join us when we get there. May 26th at midnight is what Amazon says it is, but we'll see. Wait, what?
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh, Alan's asking, is ARPG an Australian ARPG? No.
I mean,
no, Alan.
It could
it's
be.
not. G'day, mate. We have an RPG.
That's
I
racist.
want a
Dad.
Barbie. What's a racist? Or ARP. Yeah. Yeah, ARP. Yo.
Been
When
watching,
you hit 50,
I've been watching a lot of Australian films lately, and they're getting really good down there.
Oh, yeah. Aussies are fine. I mean, to me, Aussies are a lot like us. They are very much
they're humans.
The whole frontier. Well, all right. Yeah, they're humans, okay? But when it comes to like a lot of their... I mean, I would say they're 1,500 years. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
anyways, one more thing. So I know, are you guys okay with one more topic?
Yeah,
you guys want to? Okay, so I thought it'd be another topic. I was curiosity, okay, as part of a side quest. Is housing important to you? Jazeel, is housing important to you in an MMO?
No, not really. I do have a couple of homes in Elder Scrolls Online, and I pay very little attention to them. It's not my thing. I mean, if I want to do that, I'll just go play The Sims 4 or something. You know.
I did not expect that to be an answer. I'm sorry. Oh my word! The Sims 4. Okay.
I think it's kind of like the battle pets in World of Warcraft. It tends to be a very special group of people that, you know, it's a niche that some people enjoy, and I don't want to take it away from them. There's a lot of people that are begging for player housing and several other games that don't have it. But myself, I don't really... The idea of a guild hall like in Guild Wars 2, now that I loved. That was a great idea, that your guild works together to establish a guild hall. You work together to get all the advantages of having a guild hall, like all the different abilities to craft things within it, to get bonus materials from harvesting different manufacturing widgets and whatnot inside of there. But and it's a great place to have meetings and whatnot. But as far as individual player housing, nah.
Okay. Solomon, about you?
I love it. I'm completely off. I'm such a Care Bear.
Okay. So I mean, so we say love it. I like it too. Okay, but is it a like a you must have? In other words, you have a MMO and says I don't have it. You're like, oh well, okay, I'm not playing it, or it has it. I'm doing it.
Oh man, that's a good question. See, I say that's a good question because that question fluctuated for me in terms of my answer. But luckily, all the MMOs that I do mainly play ended up having it, anyways, one way or another. So yeah, it's a difficult question. Like if no, actually, I take that back. It's not mandatory if it's a really good game, but if they had it, it definitely would make me want to play the game even more. And the game that I could think of that absolutely made me stick with it for longer is Star Wars: The Old Republic, because they introduced player housing back, like I believe 5 or 6 years ago, called Strongholds. But not only that, they also introduced something very similar to what Sir Jaziel was talking about in terms of guild halls, where your guild could actually, depending on which side you are, if you're Imperial, you get your own Star Destroyer, which is essentially a guild housing, but you get to travel around in it and use it to buff particular planets if you're on that planet, which is really cool. So that it had an additional benefit in terms of its gameplay. But you get to decorate it too as well and everything. But also, Black Desert Online housing isn't really crucial in Black Desert Online, but you have it as part of the sort of gameplay that you could utilize, because different housing that you could actually buy within Black Desert, if you have enough decorations in it, like the more decorations you have, the higher you are on a tier list. And if you're on the very top of that tier list, you could actually use the banking system within that city that your house is located in. And that's like simmer down the basic explanation of it that I could describe it as without getting too much into it. So yeah, there's ways you could actually implement player housing in a way such that it actually affects the economy of the game. And then there's also housing where it's just purely just for aesthetic reasons as well too.
Because I asked this question because when Dark Age of Camelot came with housing, it was like, woo.
Right.
It was big time, okay? And why doesn't he have it? I mean, I know they have their guild factions, right? And we camped out waiting for a house in Camelot. And it was our house. We had a guild house, or if we had a guild house. And it was fun. It was exciting. It was like, wow, our spot in the sun. Final Fantasy 14 has guild housing, so to speak, and a room in the house. And when I kickstarted Crowfall, one of the things I remember mostly about Crowfall was because it had a place where you can create your own house. Mind you, being a Fallout 4 fan and enjoying building stuff, I'm like, that's what I want. I want an MMO with the ability to create a house, to build my own. Now, not Fallout 4 where people would see in a picture only, but in a MMO where people can come and visit and say, "Ooh, that's pretty cool," or I can visit them and say, "Ooh, is it the only reason why I pick an MMO? No, but I want it because it seems so easy to do these days." So yeah, I was curious your guys' thoughts.
I personally like it, but yeah, as you said, as you made me think about the question, it's not something that's an absolute thing for me to have in order to play an MMO. Although the New World, it's going to be a pretty big deal in the New World, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the one thing about we'll talk about a different time. The idea of breaking the world, because I mean, EverQuest Next was supposed to be a game that literally would break the world, or at least it could modify the world. Your actions would actually, like, say you destroy a bridge, the bridge is gone. That reminds you, the next person coming across, going, "Oh, the bridge is gone." So I know that how do you deal with that when cards is the next person comes along, going, "Wait a minute, how come the bridge is gone? Why couldn't I destroy the bridge?" Like, well, you weren't the first person here. That's an issue I know with a lot of games, like the whole idea of, oh, you're the first person, the first guild or whatever to do the raid, so you get to win, get the trophy, and no one else can do it again. So like, oh, well, all right, I'm not playing this game. I'm not playing this game anymore. Anyway, so yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so that's it. That's the last bit of our agenda. I was just curious your guys' thoughts about housing.
That was a good topic. I enjoyed it.
It was important, but it's not important. I mean, it's one of the things where I've said this. You watch me and hear me out with Shadow and Mr. Potato, and the biggest thing about any movie is story. It's got to be a good story. I don't care whether it's a good concept or well acted or or the CGI is good, right? If it's a good story, it's worth it. John Lasseter, who used to run Pixar, was saying they'll forgive you for your mistakes in your animation if you have a good story. And he's right. Onward, Saw the Day was a great story. Maybe laugh, maybe cry. It hit all the emotions. I'm like, Pixar, you're still doing it. Same with the games. If game doesn't have housing, but it's a good story, great. My son and his friends love Final Fantasy 14. They think the last one was the greatest expansion ever.
Mhm.
The story, the content, everything about it was great. I'm not a big fan of Final Fantasy 14, but they liked it, and so I want a game that actually does that. That's why I'm hoping New World might be that new thing, or Mark Jacobs doing Camelot Unchained is the new thing, or the folks doing Crowfall is the new thing. I keep waiting for that new thing. That's why I keep
or Star Citizen, Dad. Right.
Oh, Star Citizen. Sorry.